Good morning. Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and we're glad you're here. Today is the 12th of June in the year 2025, and our guest is Dr. Lynn Gray, and she will be joining us momentarily. So we have a great show for you today. We intend for this show to go uninterrupted. We've got our security protocols and our concrete wall. We got our taser. So if anybody gets out of line, we're gonna reach through your computer and tase you.
And sick God on you.
Our apologies. So last week, in case y'all weren't here, we got infiltrated by a hacker that was pretty proficient and disruptive, and my psyche was ruined for hours. And that was the first time that's happened. We are 5+ years, and the first time when we've really had that severe of an issue. I think Jasmine, you were with us, and that was man, that was just. You hope that never
rough.
happens again,
It
right?
was a little shocking. It was a little shocking. So we're ready now. As Mayor Bass said last night, no more provocateurs coming into our state or into our Zoom. We're not having it. Oh, okay.
So further than it gets.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. That was pretty crazy. All right, so my name is Gregory Sneed. I'm president and CEO of Lifesaver Financial Services. I help my clients to keep more of the money they make and teach them about being smart with money, financial literacy, and I'm a financial coach. So without further delay, let me bring the queen of the community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Oh, welcome, everyone. Glad to have you. I'm so excited about our guest because she's here in California, so it's always good to hear about stuff happening within our own state. Good stuff. And so since we seem to be like the highlighted special people this month, we're very special this month across the country. My name is Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as a business coach and consultant here in Los Angeles. And I work with the small business community. And obviously, you guys know who Recycling Black Dollars is, but this platform was an inspiration of mine during the pandemic when we were in a critical space with the pandemic. And obviously, we're in another critical space 5 years later. So maybe this is a redo. Maybe we're getting a redo. and so the platform is here so you can meet your leaders and stakeholders, people that are really actively working in our community, introducing you to them so that you will have access to them if they provide you with their contact information, then I consider that an invitation. And so you can reach out to them. And the more connected we are to what's going on in our state and how it affects us as small business owners is vitally important to your success. So that is why this platform exists. We are powered and supported by Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA. Ms. Sarah Harris is actually she's the CEO and president of the BBA, and we are monetarily sponsored by Southern California Edison, Wells Fargo Bank, SoCal Gas, PCR, Urban Excellence, and Los Angeles LDC. So this is our platform. We want you. We need two people. We need to. This is not even an ask anymore. This is like almost a demand and a command. We as people need to come together and join together as one unit so that our voice is loud and carries volumes because we are the consumer that spends the most money in this whole entire country. so our voice does have power. We're just not using it properly. And so that's the platform. And we have a phenomenal team here. You've already met Greg, Mr. Steven Turner. He's not on with us right now, but he is the producer. And without him, this would never all come together but he does a fantastic job. And Miss Robin Billups, and I'm going to turn it over to her in 1 second. I just want to let you guys know the ones that were here last week. We are rescheduling Janelle Brooks for the end of the month. We were all excited to hear it. I called her afterwards, and we were trying to get her back on. But she will be back on on the 26th, so you guys will get to hear the rest about Hugo. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to Miss Robin.
Good day, everybody. I'm sorry I'm off screen. I've been in Washington, D.C., on dealing with some family issues and wanted to share that whereas I'm Robin Billups with the Billups Group, I assess, coach, and work with folks to get to a strategic framework for their goals and plans for their business and their life. I do want to say that I was in Washington, D.C., and I've seen up close and personal this get ready that's going on, which is a little bit crazy. But more importantly, I was there representing the family. Ambassador Ruth A. Davis got her wings, and this woman is globally known. She's not the popular person, but she's been made very impactful around the State Department, Foreign Service. She actually created the professional protocol for that. It's a woman, her voice sounded like Maya Angelou, and she was truly a global citizen, originally from, went to Spelman, Berkeley, and just an exceptional individual. So if your kids need to do a paper or you want to do a little bit of research, look up Ambassador Ruth A. Davis. She's somebody for us to remember, and for us to remember too that we're standing on her shoulders in regards to the State Department and Foreign Service. It's amazing to me what has happened in the State Department, and with that peace that keeps the peace for America. And and all of these Black ambassadors that I've had an opportunity to meet across the world. So okay, I will kick it back to Greg, but I just wanted to put that name in the universe, Ruth A. Davis, somebody to know and someone to remember. Gregory?
Right on, right on. Thank you, Miss Crystal and Miss Robin. Thanks for joining us today. So we have Dr. Tara Lynn Gray, and she is the Governor Newsom appointed director of the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. That's a mouthful right there. So that's called CalOSBA within the Governor's Office of the Business and Economic Development. Prior to her appointment there, she served as the Chief Executive Officer of the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce and Chamber Foundation, where she managed programs and initiatives to engage and educate California's Central Valley small businesses. Before that, she supported small businesses as a counselor at 2 Northern California small business development centers, and she was a trainer on crowdfunding for Northern California's SBDCs. She taught a small business feasibility and planning classes in Stockton and has led a youth entrepreneurship program for 9 years. That's right up your alley there, Crystal, with the California Black Chamber and Chamber Foundation. She holds a master's degree in Christian Sciences from the Grand Canyon University, a bachelor's degree in business management from St. Mary's College in Morago, California, a graduate of the UCLA Anderson School of Management, and she has a management development for entrepreneurs program. She's a member of the Zeta Phi Beta sorority and is the recipient of the Marjorie Mason Award. Let's see. I tell you about schools, San Francisco University, St. Mary's College, UCLA Anderson School, and the Grand Canyon University. We did not get a chance to find out.
You did not mention my HBCU.
Oh,
Virginia University of Lynchburg.
There we go. That's up at the top there. Yes. And her doctorate, she stepped in on that one, didn't she? The doctorate of Healthcare and Care Administration Management at Virginia University of Lynchburg. Ooh. My bad. Okay. We didn't get a chance to find out where she's from, where she grew up. Is she from California? Is she from New York, Texas, Kentucky? You from California?
I am a California girl.
NorCal girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born in Berkeley, raised in the Bay Area.
Right on. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Tara Lynn Gray.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the fun-filled introduction. I appreciate that. I just, I had to get my shout out for my HBCU in here. No disrespect intended. And it is a pleasure to be here. I see some friends among here. I see Ahmad Holmes, Sarah. I see Sharon. Oh my gosh. So friends from the way back, advocates a long time. So always a pleasure to be able to be with folks who are in the community, making it happen, rocking it out for all of us everywhere. And in this day and age, that is what it takes. So I want to talk a little bit today about what we do at CalOSBA, our mission, what really drives our work, some of what we know about small businesses to date. And then I think if we have time, maybe some Q&A if we can get there.
Sure.
So I just want to start first with our mission. Our mission, really at the heart, is to support California's dreamers. We help them start, scale, and succeed as small business owners, employers, and drivers of the state's economy. And we do that with four missional strengths. The first is we administer, the governor's direct grant relief programs that support small businesses. We fund and oversee a network of small business support centers. We increase the pipeline of loans to our smallest and most vulnerable small businesses. We advance resiliency through disaster awareness and preparation. And we represent and elevate the voices of California's small business owners. Our activities that I just described really fall into three primary buckets. And this is what I call the imperatives for small business success. The first is to democratize access to capital. The second is to diversify the innovation economy. And the third is to drive economic mobility through entrepreneurship. And when I talk about democratizing access to capital, it's not just saying that we need to get more capital in the hands of small businesses. It means getting the right size and type of capital for the various different sizes and types of small business owners there are. Clearly, a startup that's doing some disruptive technology needs a different type and amount of capital than a restaurant does when it wants to expand into the space that's next door to them and maybe double their size and the number of tabletops that they have in their restaurant. So democratizing access to capital is really about meeting the various different capital needs our small businesses have. Second, diversifying the innovation economy is really about making sure that all founders in California, founders that come from various different rural areas and zip codes across the state, that they have the same access to the social frameworks, the financial frameworks that others do in order to advance the startup and the funding of their innovative companies. Additionally, we broaden what we mean when we're talking about the innovation economy. We don't just focus on tech. We don't just focus on hardware and software. We look to maybe non-traditionally considered industries like agriculture, for example. There is plenty of innovation happening in water, in energy. in agriculture. And so we seek to embrace those other non-traditional verticals and include them in our definition of an innovative economy, or the innovation economy, as we sometimes say. And then lastly, driving economic mobility through entrepreneurship is really about making sure that the vehicle of small business ownership and entrepreneurship really is a vehicle for wealth creation for small business owners and their families. It's not just about surviving every day to keep the doors of the business open, but it's about how do we afford to save? It's about how do we build wealth? How do we create a generational mindset here and plan for the next generation of our business owners? You know, we have a situation here in the state and really across the country where there are entrepreneurs that are aging out of their small businesses. And when they retire, if there isn't a child or another family member to take over that business, oftentimes those businesses close. That leaves the communities that they're operating in the lurch. It leaves the employees that they've employed without jobs. So the economic impact is significant. And so we want to really be able to make sure that entrepreneurs that start in low wealth categories can change to high net worth individuals and then to create legacy out of that. So those really, really guide the work that we do. We are now the fourth largest economy in the world, in the world, in the world. And we have 4.2 million small businesses. What's amazing about that, right, is really that 99% of our small business, or 99% of all businesses in the state are small businesses, and 98% of those businesses have fewer than 20 employees. Yet we create more than 7 million jobs for the state. So really in California, small business is big business, has a huge impact. And so as we talk in my department about what is great about California small businesses, we talk about some fun facts, right? Most people don't realize that small business exports in the state of California amount to $75 billion annually. Small businesses make up 43% of all of the state's exports. A significant. California is the top state in the country for manufacturing businesses and jobs. And for those that don't know, manufacturing jobs are amongst the highest paying jobs in our economy. And California has the lowest first year business failure rate in the country. We also have the most women-led businesses of any state in the union. So California leads in so many categories. So we cannot believe the hype that California is not a place to start and grow your business, because there's just entirely too much data that says otherwise. And when we drop down to the impact of diverse owned businesses, those of you who've heard me speak before know that I like to talk about the impact of diverse owned businesses because there's a significant story there. 2.3 million of the state's 4.2 million businesses are diverse owned. And we did a study on those businesses. They contribute $192.8 billion in economic output for this fourth largest economy in the world. 25.3% of these diverse businesses are Hispanic owned. 23.1% are Asian American and Pacific Islander owned. 6.9% are Black owned, and 1.6% are Native American owned. 43.7% women owned, and 3.7% veteran owned. So that's what diverse businesses are doing in the state of California. So if you'd like to check out the full study, if you haven't seen it, haven't read it, we have it on our website. If you go to calosba.ca.gov and then connect with CalOSBA, I believe it's on our publications page, and it is called the State of Diverse Businesses in California report. So let me move on. I don't know how much time we have here, but I want to talk about something new since the last time I think I addressed this group, and that's our scale network. So we have lots of different funding streams that come in to support our technical assistance. We have the budget that the governor made permanent at $26 million. 23 million of that goes into the technical assistance program. 3 million of that goes into a capital infusion program. And that capital infusion program is run by the 5 lead SBDCs in the state of California. And then we compete on an annual basis that $23 million, and we fund organizations across the state. What we decided, we also have funding from the federal government that goes into that, from U.S. Treasury. We have the State Small Business Credit Initiative funding. That's $25.3 million over a 5-year period that is also infused into this program. And what we decided was it was really better to focus on what the small business owners need, what the advocates like yourselves in community really need to know. And that is there's an opportunity and there is programming to help small businesses scale in the state of California. So we renamed our network SCALE, and it stands for Success, Capital Access, and Leadership for Entrepreneurs. So SCALE. When you go to calosba.ca.gov, in the top menu bar, you will see Get Help for Your Small Business or Nonprofit. When you click on that link, it will take you to our SCALE page. And on that page, you can answer a couple of quick questions, put your zip code in, and be directed to those centers in the state that are closest to you geographically. Or if you're a woman and you want a woman's business center specifically, you can tell us that and you can be directed to the women's business centers. And likewise for the veteran business outreach centers and so on. What is important for you to take away from this for the people that you serve is that small business owners do not have to go it alone, that there is help. There is responsible neighborhood level, community level help. And when I started in this position, I think we only had about 54 of these centers, and we didn't have many run by folks that look like the majority of us on this call. I'm proud to say that that has changed. We have quite a few centers that are run by people of color and are predominantly and primarily serving people of color and making sure that the diverse businesses in the state are getting access to the resources that they need to thrive. So check out Scale, get familiar with the centers. If you go further down on the page, there is literally a map, and there is a pin on the map for every single one of those centers. And then you can see when you click on them, up will come a profile of those centers as well. Let's see, what else do I want to say? I do want to also point out, we have Apex accelerators in this group. And there's something unique about the Apex accelerators. Those organizations are uniquely concentrating their efforts on contracting. So for businesses that want to contract with the state of California or contract with federal agencies, you really want to drive them to those Apex accelerators for that real deep federal contracting expertise, including the certifications that apply at the federal level that do not necessarily apply at the state level. So get to know Scale. We did something different with the design of Scale. We put the small business at the center of the network, which is different than the way technical assistance has traditionally been done. So we are very anxious to see the outcomes, and we are very encouraged. At the end of the first year, we have implemented a data monitoring and reporting platform so that we can guide the work and really turn on a dime, basically, to make sure that we are adjusting the services and the service level in response to the needs that are shared from the community and advocates like yourself. Then I also want to say I'm very proud that as a part of this project, we have launched with the Center by Lindustry a platform called Reach. And I will make sure that we get that link to you guys so that you can share it with the network. One of the other goals of the Scale network that I had was to make sure that we up-leveled the quality and consistency of technical assistance across the state and across the network. And so this Reach tool really helps to do that. It has got a tremendous amount of tools, from financial spreadsheets, training assistance, videos, so that those folks that are not already engaged in technical assistance or have very, very small or remote communities, that there is an online resource where you all are still able to provide resources and counseling and upskilling to the entrepreneurs that you are working with. So we're super excited about this launch. We just launched it 2 weeks ago, and I'm anxious to share it and to get some feedback. The system right now is heavily concentrated on financial assistance and capital readiness to be in keeping with the U.S. Treasury requirements to work with SETI small businesses, which are socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, and the businesses that they own. And we have 17 specific categories of services that we can provide. And I know I'm going in the weeds here, and
Fine.
eyes may be glossing over but I just shudder every time I hear somebody say, I didn't know. So I just want to give as much information as possible. So check that out. The financial, accounting, and legal framework and help is there inside of this platform. So that is about scale. I wanna just also share some data really quickly before I end, because if you ever wonder, do your voices matter? If you ever wonder whether or not the advocacy that you are doing is making a difference, I want to share with you how big a difference it is making. The 7-year results for the programs. Now, I've only been in this role a little more than 4 years, but I've started the data collection for the entire 7 years of the programming. And I can tell you 800 over 7 years, 845,000 small businesses have been helped. 845,185 to be exact. 13,900 new businesses have been started. Our network has completed 34,788 training events. We have created 84,437 jobs. We have retained 781,000 jobs. More than 2.8 billion in lending capital has been approved. 3.5 billion in new equity capital raised, and 68,730 contracts landed. That is the performance of this network that you all belong to and have been advocating for and making sure stays. So that is our performance. $158 million invested. And the state has received 88 new businesses for every $1 million invested. For every $10,000 invested, 5 new jobs. So we are the job creation engine, and the work that you all are doing alongside my office, my team, matters. So thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. So
Dr. Gray, this is fabulous. I love stats because again, what isn't measured doesn't really count. So the one thing I appreciate is from hearing you speak that you are data driven, and data is the fact of the matter of what's going on. And so nobody on this call is glazing over because most of these folks have an entrepreneurial mindset. They're hearing what you're saying. They probably have taken advantage of some of the services that you're offering and or been a trainer in that space. I guess for me, one of the things that when we talk about, I love these 3 tenets that you have: democratize, democratize, blah, 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 democratizing access to capital. That is so very, very critical because most small businesses, the first thing they think about is the capital, right? But what I'm hearing you say is, which is what we always talk about, you got to be ready to get that. You really have to be ready to get that. So these other services that you're talking about, where you're diversifying the economic mobility that for these entrepreneurs, and then also too, thriving, not just surviving, but thriving. And then the idea of the scale piece, the scale and the apex accelerator, and then this reach with Lindustry. I think that those adjustments were what was needed based on the feedback that we get weekly from the audiences and the clients that we work with. So talk to us a little bit about I do want to dig into a little bit more about this accelerator because what happens is people say they sign up for these classes and they take the classes. You're saying that there's resources available online. Talk to us about some of the other organizations that your team works with. Historically, we are very actively engaged with Pacific Coast Regional, Vermont SLOSS, and the BBA. But talk to us about these communities of organizations that your group supports.
Yeah, so we have now across all of our programs, we have just about 200 partners. And then we have partners that have partnerships.
Certainly, certainly.
So, we have an economy of service providers, and they're all doing something different. And I want to say also that what's unique about what California is doing, there's no other state in the union doing this. There's no other state that has the diversity of organizations
Mhm.
that we have. There are other states, and I know this from being on jurisdictional calls on the national projects. There are other states that just took all their money and just gave it to one organization.
Mhm.
We didn't do that in California. We created various different classes, including trusted messengers in our network, to make sure that we could go as broad and as deeply as we thought possible, to make sure that everyone in California had access. Now, I want to return to the Apex accelerators because we have two kinds of accelerators in our programs. The Apex accelerators that I mentioned earlier are specifically focused on contracting. But we have another kind of accelerator that I want you guys to know about, and that goes along with that second D, diversifying the innovation economy. We have our Accelerate California Inclusive Innovation Hubs. And these accelerators, there are 13 of them across the state. There's one in every economic region according to the regional map that the state has created for these economic regions. We have one in every one. We have Bakersfield, we have Inland Empire, we've got Sacramento, we've got Fresno. I mean, we've got LA. We've all the regions are covered, and each one of them has a different focus. So, for example, in Fresno, water, energy, and technology is a focus there. We even have a neurodiverse out in the Inland Empire. We have some neurodiversity work going on in one of the acceleration hubs that's out there. So they all have a little bit different focus.
Oh, you went on mute. I don't know how.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I was going to say in LA, we have a life sciences focused accelerator. So the important part about this is that each one of them runs cohort programs, and you can get your businesses enrolled in those programs. Once a small business finishes that program, and they're all less than a year, we're not talking about like a school doctoral program or something where you're signing up for 2 years, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about less than a year's program, mentoring, training, support, business planning, coaching for capital, all of that stuff. When the business completes that, they are then eligible to apply for an acceleration grant, right? Up to $100,000. So we have two tiers, 1,000 to 50,000, 51,000 to 100,000, those grants. We have yet to give all of that money away. And there is plenty of room in these accelerators. So if you have folks that are thinking about innovative startups, or if it's a business that's less than 2 years old and they're creating a new product, get them to an accelerator, get them through the program so that they can apply for this money. I have like $4 million left for acceleration grants. And so please, please, please get your small businesses in these programs. And if you have questions about them, do not hesitate. Email me directly. I will email and make introductions and make sure that your businesses get connected. And let me also say this, that if you, in the spirit of innovation and startups, you may be counseling small businesses that have businesses that are not going to make them money.
Correct.
Driving economic mobility through entrepreneurship also sometimes means telling a small business that their baby is ugly and that they might think about another baby.
Exactly.
And they might think about another area that they could go into, or another kind of startup. We are in an age of co-opetition where people need to cooperate rather than compete. And there are lots of different avenues and lots of different problems that need to be solved. So I would say encourage, and especially young people, and I'm going to end on this. I'm going to end on this last program. I'm sorry, because I could go on and on and on. We have a wonderful pilot that we have done that focused on youth entrepreneurs, because I love youth entrepreneurs. And Jermaine Carter Gibson runs that program for us. It's called The Future Is Now. We've done 3 videos on amazing youth entrepreneurs, and we focus on them from, middle school to early adulthood. And I would encourage you to check out those videos and engage with us around that program as well.
Dr. Gray, you said something that was very apropos, and that our team is always pushing the fact that you may have a business idea, but are you solving a problem? Are you meeting, are you closing a gap? Are you looking at next generation activity? One of the things that you mentioned that I really, really liked was the idea of agriculture, water, and energy. Those are areas that we don't ever really kind of get involved in, but those are the areas where the need is greatest. And when you think about the our history, it was Black people that brought all of that to the forefront. So it's in us to be able to do that. And we want to thank you for the idea of sharing this information. And I know that our audience, our constituents, will dig into this, and they will be reaching out if they're finding they have issues and or success stories. You want to hear both. You want to hear both. I want to open it up for a few minutes. If anyone wants to put their hand up, if you have a question, you have a follow-up comment. Sharon Evans, I know, I'm not going to give you 15 minutes. I'm giving you 2.
Because she would take 15 if you gave
Girl.
Look, Tara, you know what? I wasn't even going to go there, but I do want to ask really about some things. I'm looking at some numbers, and I'm understanding that the May revision, there may be a significant budget cut to Go Business budget. Is the 23 million that you're retaining, including that proposed 50%, that proposed cut?
So we have 25.3 million that is from U.S. Treasury.
Mhm.
I'm not aware of another cut to our programming. I know that serious cuts are needing to be made,
Mhm.
and that everybody's got to deal with that. But I have not seen a cut to our budget yet.
Okay. And that was really for me. And can you tell me a little bit about the California Rise program, which I understand goes through your office, that kind of drives social entrepreneurship? I know that the governor's proposing to add 17 million into that. And I think it would be great for us to be able to support his effort.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That program is the first of its kind in the nation, and it is fulfilling a significant market need by supporting social enterprises, as you correctly said. We've granted 61 organizations grants to increase employment amongst those that are hard to employ. And oftentimes, those in the category of hard to employ are people of color, as we all know too well. And so that program is a groundbreaking program. And the work that these 61 organizations has done is pretty incredible during this grant period. And so we are excited to see the work continue. We think that it's very necessary. It's all about the jobs, right? It's jobs that create local economies. And without the local economies, what are we all doing?
Again, Sharon, thank you so much, because again, I know you're very familiar with a lot of these different programs. And I want to say too, that while we know that we don't know what's going to happen on the federal level, what we do know is the state of California is the rebel with 12 million causes. And I implore people to start taking advantage of what's there and while it's there. We bring people on the briefing every week that brings solid information that folks can access. And so we want to thank you, Dr. Gray, and your team. Fatima's been on here with us as well, for providing us with this great insight. And we implore everyone to share the information, but also to tap in and see what's available there, and what, if you qualify, and go down that road, but also ask questions. Ask questions so that there's a mutual understanding of what the goal is going to be. Thank you so very much. And the other thing that I want to appreciate is the fact that you, with all of your great education, you shouted out the HBCU. I think that's it. It creates a foundation for everybody that I know that have matriculated in that space. The foundation that they've gotten has been exceptional.
Yeah. Yes. And as a matter of fact, I will say that my HBCU alma mater was just shouted out in Forbes as the #1 doctoral program in healthcare administration. And it really is a leadership program.
Excellent.
So.
Excellent. All right, guys, we want to be mindful of everyone's time. Sarah, did you have any announcements that you want to make? And then Greg is going to close us out. I'm sorry, Stephen is joining us so he can tell us who our guest is going to be next week.
Thank you so much. Director Gray, this has been wonderful, amazing. I did put into the chat that we have our Black Business Day Expo, just a reminder that we are accepting vendor applications. And Director Gray, I have submitted for CalOSBA to participate with us, as well as hopefully that you could be able to attend as well. I did put in that request for that, so I'll be following up. But I did want to remind people August 16th is for the Black Business Day Expo at LA Trade Tech.
Excellent.
And you are correct. She is a doctor. And how recent is that doctorate?
My degree was inked on 12/31/2024.
All right. That is wonderful. Congratulations. Thanks for sharing that. Stephen?
And before Stephen goes, there's 3 things that left out. So as a California business, where we're #1, California. We're #1 in the highest marginal income tax rate. We're #1 in the highest state tax rate. And we're highest in the gasoline taxes. So
Debbie Downer. Debbie Downer.
She told me Debbie Downer, but yeah.
We pay them taxes. That's for doggone sure.
But our taxes help if you're, and as Robin always points out, when
Mhm.
that a lot of things are free. She said, no, it's not free. Your tax dollars are paying for this.
That's
Your
right.
tax dollars are paying for these SBDCs. You're paying for these programs,
Mhm.
and so the state has funds set aside to help
Mhm.
businesses, to help people to enter business, stay in business, and to thrive in their business. So we applaud you for everything that you and your organization is doing for the state of California. So, Stephen, who we got next?
Before that, I just want to thank the director. Her and I met about a month ago in San Francisco at the Small Business Expo, and it was a very festive event. I remind her about her being on the community briefing and how we met maybe like 5 or 6 years ago in Fresno on a train. And so the full thing. Again, thank you ever so much for your leadership. And she's probably the highest ranking African American in the government get, that Newsom has appointed.
Mhm.
No.
Second highest.
Secretary Tamika Moss and Secretary Toksa Omashakin outrank me. I am the highest ranking Black woman in economic development.
Bam.
Bam.
That's even better.
All right. Hey, if you think that's great, next week we're gonna on Juneteenth, we have the legendary celebrity photographer and culture influencer, Mr. Fox.
Ian Fox. That's going to be
Ian
fun.
Fox.
Crazy like a fox.
Yeah, and we're hoping that he's going to have a video presentation because he got up some archives. No question about it. You
Every time I
guys,
see him, if I see him in a place, I know I'm in the happening spot. Okay. If I don't see him, I know something else is jumping off where I need to be.
that's a good point. Very good point.
I'm in the Leimert Park Village Theater Coalition, and Ian is going to be presenting a reading there very soon. So I'll let you know when that is.
Please do. Please do. And it's always good to see our usual suspects, Emma, Joseph, Charlotte, Jasmine. We just appreciate you guys, Renee, Roz. We appreciate you guys standing in the gap with us and bringing good presenters and speakers and insight. Emma, and pretty soon we're gonna have to start thinking about these midterm elections coming up. So maybe later on this year we'll bring that to the
Yeah, we're
forefront.
thinking about it. We're just trying to find a location where we can host it. Unfortunately, we don't right now, and Roz can help me with this. We don't have access to the townhouse, and that was a wonderful place. So we're looking.
And don't overlook the senior centers.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
an idea.
there's one in Ladera and there's
Mhm.
one in Inglewood as well.
Mhm.
Yep. All right,
Yeah.
you guys. This has been a lovely, lovely, lovely. Dr. Gray, I'm excited to get to know you, and I'm excited about what you've shared with us. Again, we have a lot of entrepreneurs who dial in on the community briefing, and we just ask them to take advantage of the advantage that's being presented. Especially when you're talking about that there's capital available, and and the money isn't being utilized. And then you also mentioned the fact, one other thing I forgot to bring up. You mentioned the fact that you guys work with nonprofits as well. So again, some of these economic development arms and some of the church economic development arms and some of these organizations that are operating in the community from an entrepreneurial perspective, they can take advantage of that as well.
Absolutely. There's SB4 for the churches. Churches ought to be running to that. One of my personal pet projects is, really advancing the role of the church in
Hmm.
economic development.
No question. And that, and when you think about it, that's always been our history, right? And somewhere along the line, folks decided that they didn't want to do that anymore. But at the end of the day, it's the best community space for us, and there are facilities. As a matter of fact, Emma, let's talk offline. I'm attending Mount Zion Baptist Church, and we have a really nice size auditorium with a stage and the whole 9 yards. Now that I think about it. All right, you guys. We're not gonna keep. We'll have our post show if anybody wants to stay on. But Dr. Gray, thank you again for being there. Sharon, thanks for dialing in for the support. And all of our the rest of the family, have a wonderful week. Be careful out there. There's a lot going on in the city, but it's thriving. It's thriving.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Good to see you.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Where's Crystal?
Did we turn off the Crystal? She has her interns. She's with the interns.
All right, so
She
let's
has-
see if
she's-
I can do this.
Yeah.